Today we're going to talk about Chromebook issues, then we're going to talk about Androids and iPads used in a business environment. How do you configure those? Can you even join them to a domain? I don't know. We're going to have to talk about this and see what our options are. We're also going to rebuild an Outlook profile, and on top of that, we're going to talk about Teams not recording the video. You know when you join Teams and you're in a session, team meeting, right? And you can set it up to record, but it's not working. We're going to take a look and see what's going on at that. I hope you enjoyed this video, so let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobo Man. Let's get this thing going. Today, we're going to work on more tickets. I was going to make an Office 365 video, but my licenses have expired until I come across a resolution, a more permanent resolution for that. I have to put that on a pause, unfortunately. But that's okay. While we're loading this video, please do me a favor in the comment below. Just say hello, hi, or present, just so that I know how many people are interested in this type of content or like to watch it. Thank you very much. So we have 39 open tickets, and we're going to work on those. We have 36 unassigned. We got 3 service requests. So let me see what's assigned to me just to see if there are any responses. It doesn't look like there are any responses, so I'm just going to go ahead and close these tickets real quick so we can keep going because we have a lot of tickets to work on. I always say this, make sure that you follow up and note tickets before you close them. I'm only doing this because this is going to be for educational purposes. So yeah, we talked about all these, and since we worked on it, we didn't get any response, and I just wanted to see if there were any response at some point. That's okay. When people have time, they will respond to me. That's what usually happens. So I appreciate anybody who puts in tickets. All right. Syncing OneDrive issue. This icon shows at the bottom of the screen. However, it disappears once I click on it. So the icon shows at the bottom of the screen. However, it disappears once I click on it. Okay, I think we actually talked about this in a previous video, so this might be a duplicate ticket. Let's just look at the screenshot real quick. So watch the previous video. I extensively talked about OneDrive. So the very last video that I've made, or the previous video, I guess if you're watching this, it's the previous video from this. So go back to my channel and watch the previous video. I talked about OneDrive extensively. And this one is different error, but I did talk about many different things that could cause these type of errors. It says, sorry, there was a problem with OneDrive. Please restart your computer. If the problem persists, please reinstall OneDrive, and there is error code there. So I'm just going to briefly mention, because this is happening, it disappears once I click on it. It clearly states to me that the OneDrive is crashed. So I'm going to just note this ticket, and I'm going to say, please watch my previous video, as this appears to be a duplicate ticket. Now Tracy is putting in these tickets for us to work on, and these are, I believe, real tickets, and I appreciate that, Tracy. And the previous ticket about OneDrive was from Tracy. It was probably a different user, but I feel like it's the same issue, and for those reasons I'm going to say this as I am typing it. So please do check out the previous video if you want to know more about troubleshooting OneDrive. Okay, I'm just going to close it. All right, here's this Chromebook issue, and let's see here. It says my laptop isn't allowing me to take any type of quiz through Brightspace. I think Brightspace is just a website that's for like online learning quizzes and stuff like that. And it says my screen just goes blank white. Is there something I can do to fix this? So we know what Chromebooks are. Chromebooks are very basic type of laptops if you don't know Chromebook. And and this is what they will look like. And they run this operating system from Chromebook that is called Chrome OS. So it's basically, and as it says here, it's a speedy, simple, and secure operating system excuse me, that powers every Chromebook. So it's probably based off Linux, most likely, in my opinion, and most likely it is. I don't use Chromebooks because you're limited to Google products, but you know, people use it for educational purposes. A lot of students use Chromebooks because they're super cheap. And also Chromebook, what can you do with Chromebook? You can browse the internet, you can use Google Docs, so you can do all the things that students might want to do or can do, learning student type of stuff. So let's look at the screenshot, and doesn't look like it's a real screenshot. So this is from, okay, so this is just a message from the help desk that Tracy uses, and it looks like there was a screenshot, but obviously I can't click on it because this is just basically just a screenshot, right? I mean, it is a message technically, but the screenshot did not come through. So anyway, so I don't have a screenshot, but it doesn't matter because it says my screen just goes blank white. So what could be causing this? Bad internet. So I'm going to say below are some things that can cause this issue, and I'm going to say bad internet, or no internet or whatever. Then 2, maybe, let's see here, Chrome browser needs to be updated. I've seen this issue where some websites will not work unless Chrome is updated, and this is how you do it. So just go to the 3 dots here, go through the settings of Chrome, and if you go to the about section, so if you just type about, or if you scroll down here where it says about Microsoft, it will tell you whether there is an update that's needed. And same thing done with Edge. So I'm doing this on Edge. It says the finish update restarting Microsoft Edge. So you could have the same issue that's on Chrome. Here, let me pull up Chrome. It's kind of done the same way. So here we go. Settings. Here's about Chrome. Same difference. You can see that Chrome is up to date. So if there is a pending update, just like we see here for Edge, that could be causing the problem. Okay? So that's that. That's what that's related to. I've seen that issue before. I mean, it is in this case, we're talking about a Chromebook. So I'm not sure what else it could be done. You could try, after you make sure that internet is working and that other websites are working, I'm going to say check other websites to make sure, right? If all of this is working and, it's still and I mean, internet is working and other websites are working and you've done this, make sure that the browser is updated. Make sure this is updated. Sorry, it's early in the morning. So Chrome browser. Why did I? Okay. Maybe Chrome browser needs to be updated. Wow, I apologize. What I had on there was just nonsensical. Anyways, so what was I saying? Make sure the internet is working. Check other websites to see if that's working, and check the browser update. And if all else fails, I'm going to say reinstall Chrome. And lastly, I'm going to say make sure you have access to the quiz. Right? So if it's an access issue, just in case. So I'm going to leave it at that. Yep, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that because there really isn't a whole lot we can do with this Chromebook thing, right? This is super rare to see. But in the educational environments, like if it's a school, they might use Chromebooks. Here we go. This is from Javier. What are some things to keep in mind while trying to set up an Android tablet or Apple iPad for your company employees? Oh, that's a pretty good question. I'm tasked with setting up iPads and Android tablets, specifically Samsung Galaxy Tab 6 for users and company. It has not been done before until now. What are some tips or suggestions for doing this? What is good software to lock down tablets, iPads, or Android tablets so users are using social media and not playing games, for example? Okay, so I guess they're allowed to use social media but not play games. What is a good remote access software to control the tablet? Is it possible to join an iPad or Android tablet to company domain? Well, yes. There are some things you can do, but let's kind of break it down from the first part of it here. It says, you're tasked to setting them up. Okay, what are some tips and suggestions? What is a good software to lock down tablets, iPads, and Android, or users using social media and not playing games, for example? So this is actually pretty hard to lock down because iPads and Android tablets are not necessarily designed with business in mind or business environment in mind. The best thing you can do is set up multi-factor authentication if they're going to access some of the company's resources, meaning other applications. So for example, if they're trying to access Outlook, Teams, all the things that you would use that are already at your work, right, that are already at your company, then for that you would need some kind of authentication, and usually that involves multi-factor type of authentication, and you can set that up so that way they have to authenticate before they can log into Teams and Outlook over the iPads or Android tablets. So that's pretty much you can do. So what are some multi-factor authenticators? You can literally install Microsoft Authenticator app. That's just one example. You can see there's one in Apple Store right here. So that's one of them. You can set this up, and you have to set this up through your company as well to make sure that they are authenticated to use the resources. So you have to set this up on both ends. It's easy, it's pretty straightforward to set it up on Androids and tablets, assuming that this is set up and configured through your company. So let's say you use Office 365 or admin. Here, let me just go to this here. Okay, so if you have access to Microsoft 365 Admin Center, let's say your company is using this, you can set up a two-factor authentication. And this is done to the Azure Active Directory. So if users are logging in, you can set up a two-factor authentication. For example, if I just pick any of these users in the Azure Active Directory, let's say this person is Bobby Smith here, right? Here is the authentication methods. So if I click on this here, we can make sure that they have the two-factor authentication required. And you can also enable it here where it says require re-register multi-factor authentication. So in this case, let's say Bobby Smith wants to use this either Android or Apple type of tablet. They just need their login ID, which in this case is Bobby S, right? They would copy it and they would open up and install Outlook on their iPad or their Android phone, and then they would try to log in. Now, for it to work, right? For it to work, they would have to use Microsoft Office, Microsoft Authenticator, or any other authenticator that's set up for this. I suggest this one because it's it's Microsoft, and this other one is Microsoft, right? So you would get either a notification that says, oh, somebody's trying to log in as Bobby onto this iPad, right? And then as long as you have Microsoft Authenticator set up on that iPad, they will get a pop-up automatically, and then they can just click approve and they would be authenticated. So that's one way you can do it when it comes to that type of use, when it comes to company integration. And then when it comes to remote access software to control the tablets, I really don't know. I really don't know because I've never, like I said, tablets are not necessarily, unless they're Windows tablets, but like iPads and Android tablets, I don't know of anybody who is doing a remote control of the tablets. They remote into and do some things. I'm sure there are things out there. I just don't know about it, and it's not something that's typically done in a business environment. And then it says here, is it possible to join an iPad or Android tablet to a company domain? What usually happens, I suppose it's possible, and you could possibly do it, but what usually happens is if they are using these iPads and Androids at the company's location, let's say the company has a network that's set up, you can make sure that these iPads and Android tablets are allowed to connect to the company's network directly by using their MAC address and basically adding them to the network, so they're allowed to connect based off of those MAC addresses, meaning they're unique identifiers which are hardware identifiers that I will identify and say, okay, this Android or iPad is allowed to connect to the company's network without authentication, right, over Wi-Fi, right? Otherwise, you would go through this authenticator thing where you would try to log into Outlook. Let's say they're using Outlook, Teams, or whatever, and then you'd use that, your email address, and then you would authenticate, and that's how I would use it if you were somewhere else outside of company's network. Microsoft is, at least Microsoft themselves, is set up in such a way that where you can access everything on the cloud. So remember, we have, and I'm just going to show because I have it copied here. Remember, we have Bobby's email here. This will work. Doesn't matter on which network where you are on if you're on the other side of the world, you can still go to office.com or Outlook and open up Outlook and use this email. And how is this possible? Because Microsoft knows that, for example, this company here, Cosmic Novo, is something that is part of their domain. Like, it's embedded and it's basically extended. So welcome to the future, So I'm going to say you can set up, let's see here, multi-factor authentication to allow iPads and Android tablets to use Office, I'm going to say Microsoft Office-based products anywhere in the world. So, for example, use Outlook with for example, log into Outlook with your company email and password, but you would set up multi-factor to authenticate. Sorry, I'm trying to I'm trying to type as accurately as I can. I apologize. So I hope that's clear enough. And for those, I guess you can watch my video to get more details on this. And there's no way to lock down, as far as I'm aware. I'm going to say I'm not aware of any other way to lock down / control those types of tablets or tablets when it comes to restrictions, because that's what he was talking about when it comes to locking down, not allowing them to use certain apps and this and that. There might be some remote access software available, but typically not done for iPad / Android tablets. So, and look, I'm not saying that there isn't a help desk out there who does this, and you probably have a way to access it remotely. Excuse me, this and that, but it's just not something I've done, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So can you join it to a domain? Again, as far as I know, the practices of joining these things is basically you can join tablets to company's network by adding their MAC address to the DHCP server so they can have basic network access. Okay, so you can set up multi-factor authenticate to all of iPads and Androids. And I'm going to say here for standard businesses. Yeah. For standard businesses. I'm just going to leave it at that because I honestly don't know what else to say about this one. And since it was just a general question, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Okay. And here's a tutor training video not available in Teams from Tracy. We recorded a Teams meeting yesterday which will serve as an in-house tutor training, and the other members of the team cannot view it. Well, this is permissions issue. More than one colleague has tried to view it from this is incomplete. Okay. I know this is a copy paste ticket. It's only seeming location in posts. Okay, so they can see it but they can't view it. Okay, I got that. Okay. We also tried immediately marking it no expiration date and get error message. Well, you don't have permission, the most likely. It also did not seem to immediately load into recording folders. Oh, it could be corrupted as we thought it would. Even though past recording in Spring did not load in this folder, were viewable. Okay, so this is basically saying it worked before. It says did not load above, and so it's saving it somewhere else is what's happening. We'll be doing this every other week. Here's the link to the recording. Well, I'm not going to have access to it, but let's click on it. Yeah, I'm not going to have access to it, so there's no point of me trying to log into it. So what happens is whenever you have Teams meeting, right? You have Teams meeting, and the meetings can be recorded and usually are, so that way you can view them later. So yeah, here is basically an example of what happens whenever you get an invite. So here is basically an invite for this session, or is it? Or is it? Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna dive into this. These are just the links and this and that. They're not gonna help me because I don't have any access to this anyways. So we could have a couple of different things. One of them is that if you cannot view it, team cannot view it, then means you may not have access to view it. Like everybody should be able actually to view everything. When it comes to Office and Office 365 and this and that, any shared document that you save, for example, let's say you create an Excel and you share it, everybody that you share it to, let's say you create one inside of OneDrive. So let me go here. Let me just go to OneDrive real quick. I would go to Teams, but you know, I don't have anything in there. So Teams just is administration. So like if I go to Teams here, so this is just Microsoft Teams. I don't have any recorded sessions or anything like that. So you know, if it was a meeting that I've scheduled, then I could have an option to, you know, save it. But since I don't have that here, then there's, you know, I have to show it in a different way. So, but let's say you're sharing, right? Let's say you have this recording, you invite people to the meeting, make sure that they're all invited just to make sure that they can view it. But anyways, everybody should be able to view it regardless. So if I was to share this, for example, let's say I right click and then I share it, then I can share it with, for example, let's say Mike Moser, right? If I share it with Mike Moser, I can change it so they he can edit or he can just view. Default is just to view, but if I leave it at edit, Mike can go in and make changes to the Excel in the real time as I am, or anybody else who has access to it. So if I just set to view, which is default, then anybody should be able, he can just view it, right? But technically speaking, if I was to share this in email, let's say I drag and drop or attach this Excel spreadsheet, whether it's from OneDrive or anywhere else, they should be able to view it at least. So read only. So the same thing should be happening for those videos. Now, let's go back to that ticket. Team cannot view it. So, I would think that it's an access issue, but so just double check that. But, when it comes to the SharePoint videos that are being recorded, at first I was like, well, it's an access issue, but you should be able to just view it if nothing else. We also tried immediately marking it to no expiration date and get an error message, which, if you don't have the ability to edit and make changes to it, if you don't have the permission to do so, then you may want to ask whoever recorded the video to do so. So whoever started or whoever hosted the meeting, they should try it. And it kind of looks like they did. So if you're getting an error message, that means that something went wrong, as in like it probably got corrupted or something. I would also search excuse me. I would also search in other places for the recording of it. Just because it says here, it also did not seem to immediately load into recording folders, this and that. Well, you tell me here also that it did not load in the past. Even in the past, the recording, it did not load into this folder successfully and were viewable. So previous sessions for recorded videos were fine, but they did not store inside of that recording folder, right? Well, look for it in a different place. So do a search. Like if you know the name of it, which you should, well, here it is. It's actually recording.mp4 right here, And here is your path, actually. SharePoint, tutors, shared, documents, general, recordings, general, blah, 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 recordings, mp4, web. So make sure it's viewable. Make sure you can see it in there. If it's not there, maybe it is gone. Maybe it is deleted or just got corrupted and deleted. It's just one of those things you really have to kind of look at more carefully and see what's going on with that, because we don't have a whole lot to go on. I wish I had direct access to this. Then I could look at it. It's a SharePoint site. I mean, Tracy, if you want to give me access to your no, don't do that. I don't need it. That's a big security risk. Do not give me access to any of your work resources. Okay, I'm just gonna reply and say, so this could be two different things. It could mean no access, as in like, your login ID doesn't allow access, or corrupted recording. I would test with the user and see if a new session will record correctly. So, log in, have the user create a new session, have them invite you, have them set to record, and then start recording and see what happens, see where it goes, see where it's saved. So just, I would do some testing. That's what I would do when it comes to this one, and see what happens to it. I probably rambled too much on this one, but it's okay. I'm sharing just my thoughts as they come to my head. Email password issue. User changed the password but was unable to log into the email on Outlook app on the campus computer. I guided user to log in to you know, whatever, this is their website or their business with a new password. Fine. User did not find the email option through the website. Okay, so user changed the password but was not able to log in. But you guided user to log into this website with a new password. Fine. User did not find the email option. So this is something custom set up for your business where, you know, it's like the home page where you might have some options to basically reset your password, look at things and this and that. User was also logged into Portal Office automatically, so that works. I suggested to change the browser from Microsoft to Google Chrome. I guided to log in with a new password to Portal Office. Fine. So it's working fine. I guided to relaunch app, but the latest emails did not update, did not prompt for the new password. User shared the screen. I tried to update the password but did not load. I tried to refresh Outlook but did not refresh. I suggested to reboot the computer, but still the Outlook did not connect to the server. User also reported issue with a laptop fan that it needed to be repaired as I got notification. Escalating the ticket for further support. So this looks like a, you know, typical things that you know, a good help desk employee would go through just to see. I suggest to reboot the computer, but still the Outlook did not connect to the server. So I guess it is desktop computer. If it's a desktop computer for the Outlook, then it could be a connection issue where the servers are messed up, but it's really unlikely. You know, you can go to Outlook. You can go to Outlook and look at these settings for the servers, POP3, you know, all of this type of stuff. So let's see here. You know, it's so seldom that you actually have to do this, where you have to go in and change these settings. So go to account settings. Was it here? These server connection settings, change, and usually, and the way it's set up normally. Here, let's do a rebuild profile here. Here's how you rebuild an Outlook profile. So if you go to control panel, this is something you may have to do anyways. So with the control panel, this is how you would possibly fix Outlook issues. Go to mail. So again, control panel, if you don't see the small, go change it to small icons if you don't see it. So go to mail. So I clicked on mail here and here it is. Make sure Outlook is closed. Make sure Outlook is closed. So here is here's email accounts. This is what we've seen earlier. Here you can make some changes too. So here's your current email account. You can add a new one if you want, but you don't necessarily, you know, this is, you know, anyways, this is, you click change. And if you want to make some changes, like here, you go to advanced. And if you want to, like, for example, add mailboxes, you can do it through here. This is how it's done for the desktop version of Outlook. So what we are actually looking for is a way to reconfigure the server. Now, when you are connected to a domain, this domain will automatically be detected by the Outlook and it will automatically populate some things. So for those reasons, if you want to reset Outlook, you will go to Profiles, and here are the profiles. Here is your default Outlook profile. And if you want to reset this, let's say Outlook is not working at all, something's wrong, you don't know how to figure it out, be careful with this, but you can do this. You just add a new, and you just call it new, or whatever you want, it doesn't matter. And here is what's going to happen. In a business environment, if you are connected to the network and domain, this will automatically populate. This will automatically populate. So I'm going to say, you know, I'm going to say Mike Moser. Let's redo this. Mike M at cosmicnovo.on Microsoft.com. I hope I remember his password correctly. Okay, And this is what you would normally do. But in a like I said, in a domain, if you're directly connected, this will automatically populate, and all you would see is this. All you would see is this, and you just click next. That's typically what happens. So you would click next. And now it's trying to connect. As long as, in this case, it should work because it's on Microsoft. Cloud, and we have internet connection, so it should work. But anyways, once it does complete, you just basically click OK, and then later on you can select a different account. See, now this authenticated, and that's fine. We're going to click finish. Now it's still selected to use the old profile. See what it says here? It says always use this profile. It's still using the old one that's called Outlook, so you have to change this to new. Okay, or you can tell it to prompt, but you don't want to do the prompt because user is going to be confused. So change it to new, click apply, and then click OK. So now when I open up Outlook, it's going to take a bit because it's trying to authenticate, Outlook for the first use. It says here preparing Outlook for the first use, and here it is. So now it's going to start downloading, and you should see if it's a big, well, you may not see it here, but on the bottom here, usually you would see it's downloading stuff, right? It's downloading stuff. So if you have somebody with a large Outlook inbox that somebody's been around for years, and then they have gigabytes of Outlook stored, this may take a while, because this is a fairly new account. It says all folders are up to date, which is fine. There's something you can do here. If you go here to accounts while you have it open, and then if you click change, you can tell it to download partial, or you can tell it to download some of it. So if you want faster access for the user at the local computer, you might want to change this to all. Now it's gonna take a long time to download, and Outlook might be slow while it's downloading all of the emails for the past, I don't know, God knows, maybe somebody's working there for 20 years. I don't know. So default is 1 year. You can also, to speed it up, you can go in here, and if there are issues with somebody who is playing around with, let's say here, somebody wants real-time access to control somebody's meetings, like their calendar. Like you can have a shared calendar. Let's say it's a secretary, and she manages calendars for her boss. One of the things you can actually try to do is uncheck this where it says download shared folders. This could slow things down, right? What is it this? Where it says download shared folders. So if somebody's sharing their calendar, there might be other things that are also happening. This can cause downloads. So uncheck it if you want it to be faster. Check it if you don't care. So just leave it by default if you don't care. Okay, so this turned into an Outlook troubleshooting, but it is a ticket about that. So, and before I forget, let's go back to Mail. And you can always go back to the old profile. It's always going to be there unless you delete it somehow. By clicking remove, I suppose. I guess that's how you could do it. So the old one is still there, and if you want to switch back to it, you certainly can. If they're like, oh no, my email, blah blah, you can say, well, it's okay, I can always go back to the old one, and there you go. You can have it back. So you can do that. But otherwise, let's try a new one again. New 2. Why does that sound like a Pokemon name? New 2. Anyways, here's the manual setup. Right? Here's the manual. Do a manual setup right here for additional servers. And here you can specify what you want to connect to. Right? Some businesses still do it like this. You have to specify, blah, blah, blah. But all this should be done automatically. Here it is. Like incoming mail server, outgoing mail server. So, where it says here SMTP, if you don't know what that means, it just means simple mail transfer protocol. That's what that means. But it's outgoing email, right? Incoming email server, this is the email that's incoming to you. And here's the server for outgoing, meaning the email that you're sending. So you can set up this manually, and you can certainly try that. Okay, so yeah, that's enough. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm just going to say this here to wrap it up. I would say, please try to rebuild Outlook profile through the control panel. Yep, yep, yep. And that's it. I think I'm going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I didn't rant too much. I'm just sharing what's in my mind because there are many different, many different ways to go about things. And when you don't have direct access, it's always hard to troubleshoot anything. So I'm trying my best to just kind of share things that pop into my head, basically. If you have a different way or tips, I always love to see these. Let me know in the comment. Like, if you say I've seen this issue before and this is how I fixed it, please let us know, because everybody who watches this, they do read comments as well. People read comments there because everybody watches these type of videos to learn, and we can learn from each other. And I'm always learning things. I've never claimed to be the best and the most knowledgeable in any of this type of stuff. All I'm doing is just sharing my knowledge that I've accumulated over the years and this and that, and hopefully it helps somebody out there. Um, and if it does, that's awesome. Okay, have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye bye.